Good day, everyone. We have made it through week 3, and I just want to open this video for the fantasy forecast for saying I completely forgot to pick last week. So, darn, my numbers aren't counted. I completely forgot. These two picked, and they're going into tonight's game, but I forgot to pick. I'm sorry, guys.
Well,
I don't have picks.
I don't think that's right.
That's because someone decided to go 5 and 10 this week.
With my lock still to come. If my lock hits, that means I gain 10 points, though. So,
Yeah.
so
wait. If we're like going out with the locks, I've got all my locks correct.
No, it only starts this week.
Alright.
And only tonight. It actually only starts tonight.
Lock, then
You don't even have a lock yet. Anyway, so for this video, okay, so I'm eliminated for this week, and probably I moved to last place after being first after the first 2 weeks. So, ouchies. But either way, these two go into tonight's game. Obviously, we're filming this on Monday. They're going into tonight's game with a tied record where they pick the opposite teams. Who will win?
Tampa Bay.
The Pittsburgh.
Ooh.
Pittsburgh's gonna win.
Tampa Bay at home, Big Ben on the road.
With how crazy this week has been.
Yeah, it's going to be 75-0 Tampa Bay.
And you heard it here first. Tonight's game.
I'm telling you now, if it's 75-0, I'm giving him the win for the rest of the
When you watch this video, you will know what the score actually was. And if it was 75-0, I will be filming another video tomorrow congratulating Sean. They'll probably have to do that first.
75-0
75-0 it's not a bold prediction, it's kind of a dumb prediction. But hey,
I
whatever.
really hope it's 75.
That would be nice. So I'm kind of stalling here going in, mainly because this week our picks are all very similar. So it's probably going to be a pretty quick video, all things considered. There are 2 bye teams this week, so we are down 1 game this week. So now none of us are going to hit 10 wins. There's almost no chance of that at this point. So at this point, we're just going to go through, like kind of we've done the last couple weeks, we're going to go through from top to bottom the games here. We don't have them in the right order. So the Thursday game isn't first.
We can go with the Thursday.
Yeah, but it's complicated. I don't know. I lose track. Okay, so anyway, so on Thursday night, my embarrassing Minnesota Vikings will go to Los Angeles to play the hot Rams. I still wear my Viking jersey because I am a Vikings fan. I have to live through that embarrassment that happened this past weekend.
There is a plus side to this. Chicago is leading the division.
Screw you. Anyway, so for the Rams and the Vikings, we have all picked the Rams. I've lost all faith in the Vikings right now, and the Rams are a hot team. Short week, Rams are very injured in the defensive backfield. Peters is out for a couple weeks, and Talib's out for a couple weeks. But the Rams offense is just so hot right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's really
Nothing really else.
Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott!
I've been partying the last few weeks, so that's why I wasn't here. So I'm just getting back to the swing of things. But Kirk Cousins did not look the greatest against an awful Bills defense. So that's
We're looking past them.
yeah, really.
Anyway, let's get away from Vikings. I'm sure we'll hear more about them in another video later. So the first one on our list here is Buffalo at Green Bay. Oh, great. I said let's get away from Vikings, and the very next game we're talking about Buffalo.
Well, Buffalo looked really good last week.
Well, Green Bay struggled against the Redskins also last week, so will Green Bay fall to Buffalo? We all said no. We all think Green Bay wins this one.
It's in Green Bay.
Well, it's in Minnesota this week.
Yeah, but it's Buffalo.
Well, actually, apparently,
Buffalo's not going 2-0 in Wisconsin.
I know, right? Good point. You see, you beat me to it. So nothing really much to say. We think it was a fluke in Buffalo or in Minnesota this week. Cincinnati, Atlanta, though. I'll kick it to Britton.
All right, I trusted Atlanta last week, and I almost picked New Orleans. In fact, I talked myself out of it.
You switched mid-video.
I talked myself out of it. So I'm not talking myself out of this week. I really think Atlanta's really struggling. That defense just not looking too good. I know Cincy doesn't have a great offense because we still have to rely on Andy Dalton. He threw 4 picks this past week, so what all Andy Dalton are you getting? But honestly, I'm not liking how the Falcons are looking. They got a great offense, but the Bengals have a pretty solid defense.
Over under, Sean. How much longer till Bryn changes his pick back to the Falcons in this video?
I'm on Atlanta this week.
Part of me is wanting to change it. I'm sticking with the upset.
But I like Cincy in this game, especially if AJ Green is healthy. I'm actually kind of at an asterisk right now because if AJ Green plays, I'd probably switch my pick to Cincinnati.
And that's fair. With the injuries, Atlanta's down 4 players now on IR on defense?
good week for John Ross to finally break out. I mean, Tyler
John
Boyd.
Ross, yeah, fell behind Tyler Boyd out of nowhere though. Tyler Boyd's.
I mean,
Do we play Tyler Boyd this week though?
they got options and they got two tight ends now because all of a sudden CJ Uzuma came out of nowhere, and then you still have Tyler Eifert, who, I mean, he's still getting targets and
A little
receptions,
bit, but not nearly as much as people thought he was coming into this year.
But I mean, we just saw the Falcons get tore up by the. I
Wait.
mean, Drew Brees, obviously, but
Well, like I said, this
I
is
mean,
one.
Brees just struggled against the Browns.
Well, yeah. Well, the Browns have a good defense, but this is one of those that I'm kind of on edge too, just because hearing that now Ricardo Allen is out probably for the season for the Falcons. That defense is banged up, so it comes down to AJ Green more or less for a lot of us. But right now, I'm sticking with the home team, Atlanta. A bounce back from that Saints one, and then we got Dallas and Detroit.
Do you want me to start this
Yeah.
one?
Go ahead, talk why you picked who you picked.
I'm still no. I have no words for Dallas's offense because we don't really know.
They're at home. That's all I got. That's literally all the argument I have for this
I
point.
mean,
So.
I mean, I thought that they finally turned it around with that win over the Giants, because Giants aren't a terrible defense; they're not great, but and then they looked real bad against the Seahawks team.
It was in Seattle.
But they can't even keep their quarterback
The
upright. The
12th
Cowboys only
man.
sacked them once.
But wait a minute,
Man.
wait a minute. Okay, so now then you're saying you're going to pick Detroit, who got crushed by the Jets, who just got beat by the Browns this week. So are you trying to say?
Detroit just beat New England.
Yeah, but are you trying to say that Detroit's loss, when the blowout loss to the Jets, was less important than Dallas' struggle in this past week?
I really think week one was different because no one really knew what they
about
were
week
doing
two?
from Sam Darnold. They actually almost came back.
They did. They brought it
And,
decent.
and in all honesty, I mean,
fair enough.
Stafford, I think, is finally coming around, and Kenny Galladay is actually starting to become a good receiver. So they got three scary receivers. I mean, you got Jones, Galladay, and Tate's still there.
You make it sound like he's
Still
there.
I mean,
guys.
he's getting 100 yards each game, I think. I mean,
He's getting close.
the offense is really starting to click, and they didn't do that against the Jets. And I also just think that, like, the Jets, no one really expected what from week one. And
The reason why I'm going with Dallas is, one, Dallas is home where they do play better. Their defense obviously shows up more.
What showed in the Giants game?
Right. The other thing too is I think Detroit's going to have a little bit of a hangover from beating New England, kind of like the Jaguars did.
Is that a curse? The
Yeah,
New England
that's a curse.
I don't think it is.
When you beat New England, you do terrible next
Did
week,
Kansas City have that?
and they're going to travel.
That was last year, Bryn. The curse just started this
I didn't
year.
realize the curse just started this year.
Come on,
It
man.
just started last week.
It just started.
So, they played Sunday night. They're going to be on the road after that huge win for Matt Patricia, beating his former head coach. So I think for me, this is going to be a letdown game for Detroit.
And plus Dallas is at home.
And
That's the only reason I picked
they got Zeke. He's going to do something.
Well, he's getting all the passes, so why not?
Yeah, he's going to do something.
The next one,
Oh my God, he has to get all the passes just because no one could do anything.
Cole Beasley.
Alan Hearns.
Michael Gallup? I
Tight end.
Dallas Goddard.
He's on Philly.
Dang it.
And he-
Anyway, he did catch a touchdown this week, though.
Started. No, I'm
Just
just
started. Oh, you heard it here. Blame him if they did it. Then we go to Houston, Houston at Indy. I mean, there's not much else to say of Houston of what the hell happened. But we all picked Indy.
That's a pretty bad game.
I don't know what's happened to Houston. I feel like they're going to turn it on eventually this year.
But at
But
least
when?
J.J. Watt got 3 sacks last week, so that's a plus.
Yeah, that means he's getting injured this week.
Probably.
So then we jump into Miami.
here.
Yeah, I was just saying, if it happens, you all need to send me $1. All 16 of you need to send 18.
Well,
18 of you need to send me $1.
Views, we've been getting.
True. Everyone who views it sends me $1 if JJ Watt gets injured this week, and I will donate
You
it
never
to
got the video off before.
so do I get $5 if it's 75-0
Well, you didn't tell them to do it. I told them to do it.
Yeah, but
It's your fault.
that should just.
And you can't tell. Now that it's 5 minutes later, you can't tell them anymore. So next is Miami at New England, and like I said, I picked Miami this week just because I need an upset pick, and I went back and do it. New England at home's hard to come back, especially after 2 losses, and Miami historically has not performed in New England. But so far this year, Tannehill has been among the best quarterbacks in the league. Maybe not fantasy-wise per se, but he's been consistent. He hasn't thrown many interceptions, if any, in all honesty. I think he's threw a couple in the week 1 against Tennessee. Tennessee does that to you.
Bortles didn't throw an interception.
He didn't throw anything.
He didn't throw interception.
But I'm picking Miami just because they look good. New England's look bad. Julian Edelman's not quite back. That receiving core there has been awful. Hey, Josh Gordon. This could be Josh Gordon's coming out party for all we know, though. So, but I'm going to go with Miami just to say I have an upset, and just because I need to catch up anyway, so I might as well change the pick.
Now, I'd just like to state that he's only picking Miami because he didn't have an upset.
Yeah.
So let's be realistic here.
Right.
New England's not losing 3 games in a row,
No,
especially not to Miami.
at home
against Miami.
And
They have started
game.
historically bad this year.
They have, but I just don't.
Yeah.
Well, now we go to the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Jets coming off an angry Thursday loss against the Jaguars who forgot to show up this week. We all picked Jaguars.
Lock.
That's great.
That's right. I'm not letting this one go. I'm locking on the Jaguars because the Jets are just a team
Hit or
that
miss.
showed up week 1, as we just stated, but
Since then,
they
showed up for the first half of the Cleveland game, maybe first quarter.
not really.
First quarter, they had 3 touchdown passes, 2 touchdowns, sorry, 2, and that was it. That's why for our Jacksonville pick. Yeah, we couldn't have made it any clearer,
Right.
on why.
Lock.
So next we go to Philly and Tennessee. And Sean, you take the lead on this.
Yeah, I think we're all going to hit on Philadelphia here. I mean, the biggest thing with Tennessee is you have a quarterback who's throwing with half an arm. You know, they're banged up on defense, they're banged up on offense. I just don't see the Titans being able to put up the firepower to match with Philly. The Titans' running game has not been the greatest. Now they're facing the #1 rush defense in the league. There's no way. I just can't see it. So I think we're all on the Philly train for that as far as that goes. With me, that is my lock of the week. So you can go ahead and put that in your books.
I want to point this out just before we go to the next one. He's just a salty Jaguars fan with that one. Anyway,
So, yeah, I'll be salted.
which is why I'm changing my lock to Green Bay. Yeah, I'm never gonna lock Green Bay.
Wow. That's a great time to lock Green Bay.
I know. Well, Buffalo's riding high right now.
How many people do you think got eliminated in their survivor pool?
Probably. I was gonna say. I don't think anyone's left at this point. That was ugly.
One guy accidentally picked Buffalo, and he
He's
survived.
the winner. Hey, we saw in DraftKings leagues people play Buffalo's defense, so it happens, I guess. The next one we go to is Tampa at Chicago. And Chicago's what? No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to lock against Tampa. He
What?
actually threatened me with a knife before we came onto this video.
Pencil.
It was a knife. Before this video that I could not lock Tampa against Chicago. And in all honesty, we all know my lock from last week's going to happen anyway tonight, and I'm not going to go 5-11
Get that
this
symbol
week.
off of there.
Sorry, he's gonna stab me. So we're all picking Chicago, but I'm not locking. I don't want to die.
I almost made a mistake by locking this past week.
Mine does have an
They won.
asterisk. I would consider if Tampa Bay comes out tonight and just goes completely insane, like I think they will, I may consider switching to Tampa in this game. I like Chicago. I like their defense. But Fitzmagic is just on a freaking tear.
But what if he gets injured and Jameis Winston comes back next week?
Stop
Like,
threatening people with
I know.
injuries.
Jameis Winston though could come up back next
I mean,
week.
geez, that's 3 people that we talked about getting injured.
Jameis Winston will get traded to the 49ers.
That might. That's something to keep an eye on. That's-
Watch that. Watch
That's
it.
early first.
Is to be fair, we're saying the 49ers are going to trade for a second year in a row for a franchise quarterback.
Well, people apparently in San Francisco are lobbying for them to re-sign Kaepernick. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, he had some good years. He took him to the Super Bowl, sort of. I mean, Alex Smith did a lot of the heavy lifting that year, but he still finished the job.
Trade for Alex Smith. What's he doing?
Yeah, he just beat the Green Bay Packers.
Hey, we all picked the Green Bay Packers. Redskins are off this week, so we don't get to talk about Adrian Peterson.
Or Redskins running back.
Well, that's why I said Adrian.
I know.
He is the Redskins running back now.
I know, but-
Did Capri Bibbs do anything this week? Sorry, anyway. Go to Redskins.
Thomas didn't do a damn thing.
Because they brought Capri Bibbs back up, man. So next one's Cleveland at Oakland. I'll pass this on to Bryn again.
Ooh, that's right. I did do this. Uh,
He doesn't even remember we picked it
But
already.
I was happy to see the fridges open.
I didn't watch one live.
It was
I know.
kind of sad.
I was
It
tired.
was happy to see Cleveland get their first win, and I enjoyed it. I think all of us enjoyed it, especially
cheered. I cried.
except Jets fans.
Yeah, they
Sorry,
really enjoy it. Yeah.
sorry, Jets fans and Sam Darnold.
At least it wasn't the
Because I
most
know people
embarrassing
watch
loss of
this
the
too.
week. It wasn't the most embarrassing loss of the
Why
week.
do you keep torturing yourself?
Because I'm that bad with that loss.
You're a salty Vikings
I'm
fan.
very salty
I
Vikings
know,
fan
honestly,
today.
Oakland has not looked bad.
Until the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they struggle late in the game, but they looked good. They looked good for the most part against the Dolphins. They looked good for the most part against the Broncos. We're not going to talk about Week 1.
Just ignore it.
Yes,
Just wipe
that
it out.
Rams game didn't happen.
Hey, but even then, if the game ends in the first quarter, the Raiders would be 3-0.
There you go. First quarter, Raiders are 3-0.
First quarter, the Raiders.
I'll change my pick.
But I think this is finally going to be the week where Raiders turn it around. Baker Mayfield will get his first start this week, but that's not necessarily mean he's going to win. I mean, they have tape on them. They know that someone could actually get the ball to receivers, unlike Tyrod Taylor. But you can't defend him after the first 3
I
weeks.
can't. But to a point, he didn't have a terrible game. He did this week. He did this week. This week was terrible.
But I'm going with Oakland just because I think the Browns are too much on a high. And I think Oakland's finally going to turn around. John Gruden's making $100 million for something. Hopefully he does.
He's
Well-
making $100 million so he can ruin the team.
Well, to be fair, you can't ruin as much as Jamarcus Russell did, but to be fair for Oakland, it sounds like behind the scenes they're falling apart faster than anything from what I hear.
That doesn't always necessarily mean a loss, though, because normally
But I
when
mean, it takes the focus away, though. It takes your focus away from the game plan. And I'm not saying Cleveland's great, but remember, Cleveland could very easily be 3-0 if they had a kicker. If they had a kicker all 3 weeks.
all Oakland is missing is a pass rusher. If they had
And
one of
a
them,
quarterback at this point.
if they had one of them,
If they already had a pass rush.
Well, guys, pass rushers are hard to find.
they are.
okay?
Like, if they only had a pass rusher, this team's
If
different.
only.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so hard to find. But Cleveland could very easily be 3-0. That's when we won Cleveland. Baker Mayfield, that energy that was in that building when Mayfield came in was something I
But
haven't
it's
seen in a long
not
time.
in Cleveland. It's in Oakland. There's not going to be energy for Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, there's going to be all the Oakland fans pissed off because their team sucks.
Yeah, but that's like Cleveland.
Winner!
I don't.
We're just gonna go with Cleveland. I mean, my biggest thing, Oakland they're just finding ways to lose football games. They're this year's Browns.
I mean, it's true.
It's true, and that's why I'm going with Cleveland this year. I think Baker Mayfield does add another element to that team. And like you said, if it wasn't for stupid missed field goals, this team would be 3-0 and be the top.
The whole NFL would be talking about this too.
Right. So for me, that's why I'm taking.
A little more than what you're hearing now. You saw that huge, what seemed like a parade after their first win.
Right.
Did they have a parade after the tie too? I don't even know.
And I'm going to
No, I
take this
think that's
next
a joke.
game. The next game we're talking about Seattle versus Arizona. And my. The last 2 weeks, I have taken Seattle, and you guys have ripped me apart for picking Seattle, and now you're both on the Seattle train.
I would say
Just so you know, 1-1's not something to brag about.
I don't care. I don't care. You both think Seattle was awful and had nothing but Russell Wilson, who I kept defending, and now he's bad.
I want to kind of point out that I really struggled with this big guy. I almost picked Arizona. Anyway, but
I would also like to say that I was not the one who made that hullabaloo that you made with Seahawks with Sean's pick last week.
Did the Seahawks even play last week? I already forget.
They
Dallas.
played the Cowboys.
Oh, yeah. It was in Seattle. It wasn't in Dallas.
It was in Dallas.
No, it was in Seattle.
It was in Seattle.
It was in Seattle. It wasn't in Dallas, that's why. That was the
when did the
mistake right
home
there.
games mean that much to you two?
To Dallas, it means everything.
Seattle means really different.
Those two teams, it means everything.
And Cleveland, because they have energy.
And Pittsburgh.
Did you watch that energy there?
I did, but
They were giving tickets away for free to build that energy
And
up.
Pittsburgh, because Big Ben can't play outside of Pittsburgh.
Big Ben can't play this year anywhere. So the next one is New Orleans and the Giants that we have, and I'll take this one. We all picked New Orleans. Drew Brees hasn't looked like the classic Drew Brees. He's getting up there in age. They were hoping that some of the other weapons would take over. And let me tell you, Alvin Kamara has basically taken over. Michael Thomas has taken over this team. They're carrying them. They've struggled against the Browns, but pulled it out. They're finding ways to win games, and Kamara is a very big reason for that. For that reason, I just don't think the Giants are cohesive at all at this point. So I'm going to go with a lock for the Saints. I haven't got a lock right yet, although we still have the Monday night going.
I'm actually surprised you're saying Breeze hasn't looked himself after the week where he looked himself.
Well, he didn't look himself.
Did you see that spin move?
Oh, hold on.
He ran 2 touchdowns.
Well, that's what I'm saying. When was Breeze' self-running touchdowns in? It's always passing touchdowns. This is the time. He doesn't usually run the ball. He always passes
In
the
all
ball.
fairness, the one was a QB sneak. It's not
He
like
dived over the top, though. That's not a Drew Brees.
Yeah.
That would have been, those 2 touchdowns would have been Mark Ingram if he weren't suspended.
He had 5
Mark my
touchdowns.
words. I don't.
And you're saying he looks awful.
And once again,
what are you talking about?
What are we talking about? I didn't say he looked awful. I said he didn't look like Drew Brees. But what did we say about the Atlanta and Cincy game earlier? That you said that Cincy, because Atlanta's defense is among the worst in the league, and plus with all the injuries, and now you're sitting there saying that Drew Brees is back and incredible because he went against Atlanta's defense? You just completely went opposite. Anyway, so let's go to the next game.
No, I actually didn't.
So the next game is the Chargers and the 49ers. And the biggest news of the week, as everyone probably knows at this point, is that the Chargers lost the LA Super Bowl. You know, that's the biggest news that's coming out of this game. I don't know if there's anything else out there. Breida got injured, but he came back. So we're all picking the Chargers
yeah.
for some weird reason. Not sure why.
No main reason.
Yeah, that's sure.
Mike Williams.
You're Mike Williams.
Maybe Melvin Gordon and Eckler's been looking really good as a 1-2 punch. Maybe that's why.
That could be it. Eckler had a pretty good career going for him so far.
Certainly nothing.
So let's go to the next game. Maybe watch our other video. Maybe we'll come up with it by then.
Yeah, you might as well go ahead and take this one since you're the only one that believes in Pittsburgh.
You're at home, Sean.
Oh, you got picked by Pittsburgh.
You're the one who said Big Ben only plays good at home. So Baltimore at Pittsburgh. So I chose Pittsburgh at home. Somehow the Pittsburgh Steelers are favored at this point. I mean, if they win tonight, I guess I can see it. But somehow the Pittsburgh Steelers are favored.
Pittsburgh Steelers
Are favored.
over 2-1 Baltimore Ravens.
I'm picking the Steelers because they're at home. At home in Baltimore, in all honesty, is so hit or miss at this point. For all we know, we'll see Le'Veon Bell. Yeah, I give up. Go ahead, guys. Rip it apart.
My biggest thing is that, as inconsistent as the Ravens are, and they have been, it's a division game, so it's going to be a tightly contested game.
Sunday Night Football.
The limelights. I just think, with all the additions that Baltimore has made, with John Brown, who's looked fantastic the last few weeks. The running game finally showed signs of life last week with Buck Allen and
Alex
Collins. The Ravens defense is a solid defense. Pittsburgh's defense is just terrible.
Granted, they could
until they shut down the Chiefs tonight.
Chiefs?
I don't
You mean
see
Tampa?
Yeah, Tampa, the Chiefs. They're basically the same team so far this
Shut
year.
down the Chiefs.
They're basically the same team so far this year anyway.
I don't see it. That's why I'm on Baltimore.
I would like to point out, though, I will say this right now, if and when Pittsburgh loses tonight, if they lose tonight, then they probably become the underdogs in this game, and I change this to my upset pick, the Pittsburgh winning, and I take the New England Patriots back in the other game. That is my call right here.
I just like to go back real quick on something. I mean, I agree with the Ravens, but I just want to go back on something you just said. You said that if and when the Steelers lose. Yeah, that's your lock!
As you can tell, I'm very not confident this week already. When you only pick
That's
5
why you
games,
go 5-11.
You only go 5. Hey, you guys should be embarrassed because I outdid you both on the first 2 weeks, and that should be embarrassing. You should both be red-faced right now that I was in the league going into this week.
And blind squirrel finds it not every once in a while.
Even 2 times in a row.
Yeah.
2 times in a
Lightning
row.
does strike twice.
Are we just now going to start saying like every phrase that we know?
And let's be honest,
2 heads are better than one, guys. 2 heads are better than one.
You beat me on a Monday night game because I decided to take Seattle.
Oh, now we're gonna make you.
stay at Denver.
We're the fantasy forecasters. Well, yes, we all picked Kansas City for next week's Monday game. They're in Denver. Denver's at home. Are you sure we don't want to play?
Never mind, we're all picking Denver because home matters.
It's
Case Keenum only plays good at home, guys.
The oxygen is thinner. Patrick Mahomes won't be able to breathe. Apparently, he has allergies.
His allergies, that's clearly the game.
Apparently, he sounds like Kermit the Frog.
Right.
Yeah.
So I hear. Well, now look how in depth we are with our looking at the games. We're not just looking at the games now. We're looking at the other
Who cares
parts
that
of
he
it.
had like 13 or 14 touchdown passes through 3 weeks? I mean, we're going in depth on Mahomes.
That's right.
So Kansas City for everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it for this week. Let's hope that I do a little bit better this week, and let's make this contest back into it. Just remember, we are the fantasy forecasters. We predict it just as good as the weatherman. Peace out.